Welcome to Show and Tell. In this series, I review brand new games quickly and with as much detail as possible. Ready? Go. No Pineapple Left Behind is a game with attitude, humor, and, at least I believe, subtext. It's a management game where you run a for-profit school where the higher the average grade, the more you get paid. The ultimate goal of the school is to turn its students into emotionless pineapples that follow rules and get grades, and the teachers do this by casting spells on the children and controlling their minds. Children are troublesome. They make friends, they have off days, they sometimes skip class, while pineapples, well, they're much simpler. I think you need to be blind to not see that this developer is trying to say something about the way schools in the US are run, and I think the sentiment and the ideas are fantastic. I just wish it was a better video game. Honestly, I felt like the game was presented pretty terribly. It's not particularly stylized and looks generic. From what I could tell, there was no dynamic lighting, all of the shadows seemed to sit perfectly under the sprites, the colors were really drab, though while that may have been the point, it still wasn't pleasant to look at. Really, it doesn't have a particular art direction and there's nothing impressive about it technically. Where it does get some points for me is the music theme at the title screen along with the still image art there and the funny sound effects when you click on a child or teacher, but that's about it. There's not much else to say other than the fact the visuals of the game seem like an afterthought. Speaking of afterthoughts, the presentation was not the worst aspect of the game for me. The mechanics are horrible, and for so many reasons. There's almost nothing good about the actual game. The UI is all over the place, it takes up so much space you'd think it was an iOS game. The UI is supposed to be helpful and make your playing experience more convenient, not clutter the screen like it does in No Pineapple Left Behind. And convenience? Let me tell you about convenience. It takes far too many mouse clicks to do almost anything. There's no reason why I cannot change individual teacher spells or salaries from the teacher menu. It's fine to have a menu for individual characters, but to change a spell, I shouldn't have to open the teacher menu, click on a teacher, click on the spell currently equipped, click on the new spell I want, and close the spell menu, and do that 4 more times just to change all of their spells to something that isn't Televisor or Memorizer. Same thing with casting lasers on individual children. I have to physically click the child I need something casted on, which is impossible at higher game speeds. Why can't I just tell my teacher to do this from the menu? So even if that was all okay and convenient and worked, there's no depth to the game. There's 1 or 2 strategies that work for making money and that's it. You have to follow the exact same paths. The game tries to add in special objectives and limitations to shake things up, but it just adds to the tedium. If I absolutely had to say something positive, it would be that sometimes it's satisfying when you manage to earn money, but it's not because the game is designed well, but because I have a stupid ape brain that likes to see numbers go up. Everything, and I mean everything in this game, was designed after the story was set in place. This is a game that was made to say something. Someone in the development team had some ideas, and this game was built around them. Because of that, the story is clearly a head height above the other elements of the game. There's some really funny writing in the game, such as the students learning Cantaloupian, some students have the trait fruity that means they are attracted to pineapples, and so on. And the game is clearly making a point with the way the school gets paid in grades, and how little you, as a player, are supposed to care about the actual needs of the children, and instead prefer that they be empty, soulless zombies that get good grades, follow the rules, and nothing else. It's not a new idea, but it's new for video games. I don't think I've seen a criticism of the US education system to this degree in a video game. It's just such a shame that the story is so unsupported by every other element of the game. I actually don't know, as of writing this review, what the price of the game will be. I emailed them far later than I should have for the information and currently have no clue. Because of that, I'm not including the price to quality ratio in the score like I usually do. That said, I wouldn't recommend this game to anyone. Save your money, don't buy the game. Again, the sentiment and the message of the game is great, but great games are not just made of ideas. They're made of an innovative, compelling presentation, solid mechanics that are satisfying to play with, and a cohesive story that makes you laugh and or scream and or gasp and or cry, or maybe it just speaks to you with its message or theme, which this game did for me. But a third of a great game just isn't enough, and I'd maybe even argue that, depending on the game, the story is the weakest of those 3 elements. Now for the score. No Pineapple Left Behind gets a final score of 3.8 out of 10. The presentation was pretty bad, though it could have been worse. They have a pretty sweet title screen theme and art. The mechanics are abysmal and just not intuitive or deeply thought out in any way. The story was the shining star of the game and happened to be the only part of the game that really stood out to me as controlled and carefully planned, though it still could have been more, deeper lore that could be read up on, and the addition of character bios would go a long way. I don't know the price of the game on launch, so I can't comment, though I'd say the game is only worth it if it's like $2 and you really care about the theme and writing. And unfortunately, I just had an awful time with this game. A really awful time. I got very little enjoyment and satisfaction from playing it, and outside of the rare sniggers I got from the writing, I didn't want to play more. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a like or dislike as you desire, and subscribe if you want to keep up with the latest from interesting new indie games. See ya!